Welcome back to Harry's Jeti Clinic. We're going to take a look at the gyro menus that are inbuilt into the Jeti transmitter. I resisted using them for quite a long time because I wasn't entirely sure about how they operated, and I didn't want to pass over control to a gyro that can control your servos until I was completely confident I knew what I was doing. And after that I just ignored them and wrote my own gyro functions, and I've been very happy with that. But I thought, well, it's time to come back and have a look at these Jeti gyro menus. They've put it there for a reason, work out how they work, and yeah, there are some good points to them. They are interesting. Whether I would use them, I'm not convinced. I might still write my own gyro functions, but they do have some interesting points to them, and we'll have a look at that because they can actually be very useful. The software, of course, for it was written long before the Jeti Assist receivers existed, and there is a fundamental difference, well, not fundamental, but a big difference in the way that the gain channel numbers are handled by Jeti Assist compared to your typical third-party gyro, such as a Powerbox iGyro or Demon Cortex. And this software was written in the days when the Assist didn't exist, so it's very much designed to cope with the sort of gain numbers of those third-party external gyros. It doesn't cope well with the Assist, and we'll see why, but there are ways around it because the Assist itself has built-in software. So we'll see that probably at a later episode. I like to keep these videos to around about the 10-minute mark, otherwise I think you lose concentration watching them. So we'll see where we get to. If we come to a natural break somewhere between the 8 and 12-minute mark, we'll stop there and run on to another episode and do as many episodes as we need. It can get a bit complicated. This is sort of multiple switches doing multiple things, but I'll try and go right in at the very basics of it, and we'll see how each element works and then build on another element and see how that changes it, and build another element, see how it changes it, and we'll end up in flight mode versions of it, etc. as well. Okie doke, let's go in. What are these gyro menus I'm talking about? Well, when you're setting up a model, and you can come back and do it at any time, of course, through basic properties, one of the questions you're asked is, do you want to use gyro 1, 2, and 3? And let's just pick them all, switch on for the moment so that you see what it looks like. You don't need to use all of them. Say OK. It will auto-assign the functions. Yep. So we've got gyro sense. See, it's only assigned one of them to a switch. It's leaving the other ones free. My switch SG is my spring-loaded switch. I don't want that, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it for the purpose of these demonstrations to a 3-position switch, because the gyro software can cope with a 3-position switch. In reality, I think I would probably just use a 2-position retract switch, because I tend to just set up one gain value for normal flying and add on maybe 5 percentage points in the landing, or sorry, wheels down position. When I say 5 percentage points, I mean add 5, not actually 5%. So if I found I'm using 30% gain in flight, I'll switch it to 35% gain wheels down, not 30 plus 5%, which would be what, 1 and a bit percent. Just make that clear. Okay, anyway, off we go. Where we got to, will not assign anything for Sense 2 and Sensor 3. Not sensor, sorry, gyro sensor. 2 and 3, I've only added them in so you'll see what the screens look like. Say OK to that. Then, of course, it would go on to servo assignment if we auto that. And what it does is assign a channel for each gain. Now, this is the good thing about this if you're using, say, an assist, where you can tune all 3 axes independently live through the radio. Whereas if you have something like an iGyro or a Demon Cortex, they usually just have one gain channel overall. So you would only use gyro 1, and then you'd just have one gyro sense channel. You can still do the same with your Jeti assist. You can assign all 3 axes to the same channel. You don't have to use 3 separate ones, but if you wanted to, here we go, you can have your gyro settings across all of them. Say OK to that. And then, having done that, in the fine-tuning menu, lo and behold, there's gyro settings. Go in there. And here we have those 3 gyros that we said to use, and that's why I said use all of them, so that you can see what the screen looks like. If we'd only chosen gyro 1, then it would just be blank from there. And if we'd only chosen 2, it'd be blank from there, but we've chosen 3. Anyway, we'll just look at number 1 for the moment, because if you understand that one, you've understood the lot. As you can see, it's using position 1, which is position 1 of the switch. It's defaulted to -50%, and there's no tuning, and it's global. If I switch to position 2, it's gone defaulting to 0%, and position 3, 50%. So we've gone -50, 0, 50. Bear in mind, these are not flight modes. Remember, we're in a global flight mode. This is actually just the switch for the gyro settings, and it allows you 3 completely different settings. And if we look at the servo I've set on this channel is just to give you an indication of what the gain would be doing you're sending to your gyro. So switch at one position, switch at the mid position, switch at the other position. Yeah. And with your third-party external gyro, like your iGyro, your Cortex, or others, it's quite common for 0% travel, in other words, stick or switch at middle, to be 0 gain. If you were to turn the gain in one direction, say negative, then it would go into either its heading, hold, or rate mode, depends on your brand of gyro. And if you turn up your tuning knob the other way into the positive values, you go into the other one. So you get both heading, hold, and rate mode on one knob. It just depends which way you turn it away from the middle. This software will not allow you to do that. It forces the system to only send the values in one direction, but it's independent for each way of the switch. So rather than you having to try and fiddle with like a P8 knob, trying to rotate one way and then rotate the other way, if you want to try out a bit of heading hold, see what that's like, I don't like that, I'll try rate mode, actually, I prefer a bit heading hold, I'll swing back to that. What it does with this is allow you to switch between positive values, off, and negative values. You don't have to be off at the mid position, by the way, that can still be some gain. It's just that it's a good handy way of switching the gyro off if you're in your testing mode. And also, you should never have a gyro running, in my opinion, without having a means of switching it off. So at least using 0 at the midpoint there gives you something to aim for should the gyro get loose or cause you problems. So there we go. Position 1, it's defaulted to -50%. Let's say that we'll take a gamble that sorry about the interruption there. We'll take a gamble that, say, the minus values are your heading hold mode and positive values are your rate mode. I'm just making that up. Check in the manual for your gyro to see which way they actually go. So we've got position 1. It's gone into heading hold mode. Suppose we don't want it just to bang to -50% when we're flying around, because if that's far too much or too little, we can't tune it. So what do we do? Well, for each position here, you can assign a tuning knob. Good. So let's assign a tuning knob in our heading hold mode. So we click on there. Now, this is a sort of default value, and here's the actual output value. So if I change the default value You can see the output value, your gain, is changing. So you can set a default of that. But why bother starting at 0% when you can use a tuning knob to go up or down? Well, okay. Let's go back to 50% to show the full ability of the system and assign a tuning knob to it now. Now the tuning knob I'm going to use is P8. So we'll go in there, swing the knob P8, say OK. Now, as you can see, I'm turning P8, but nothing's happening to the output value. That's because we haven't given any percentage power to P8. How much percentage change can P8 make to that? Well, if we go in here, it's actually percentage points, I think, not percent as such, and we'll change that to 50. Then now look at the output value. So P8 can turn it anywhere from -100 to 0. Now that's P8 fully clockwise. And I turn it P8 fully anti-clockwise, -100. So I've now got the full range of heading hold travel, or at least the minus values, from the total range of P8. What I haven't got is, there's P8 in the middle. What I haven't got is negative values one way and positive values the other way. It won't allow that. It's always got to be negative or always got to be positive. So there's no danger of you going into the mode by turning the knob the wrong way and thinking that you're in rate mode when you've gone into heading hold or whatever. And of course, you would use sounds on event, wouldn't you? Create your own little sound files, or in fact, I think the transmitter does come with them. Gyro rate mode, gyro heading hold mode, sounds on event, assign it to the switch so you know when you're moving it which one you've gone into. Yeah. And of course, remember, they don't need to be one heading hold and one rate. They can both be rate, both be heading hold, doesn't matter. So there we go. We've seen we can get the full range of the gyro from there, and we're in P1 at the moment. Or what you might do is say, well, I reckon this plane's going to be pretty sensitive to the gyro. Well, I don't need the full range. What I will do is put position, the default position, to about 40%. In fact, no, we'll give ourselves a bit more range than that. We'll say, well, we'll go for 30%, and we'll allow P8 to vary that by 20%. So it's percentage points, not actual, fractional values. So now P8 should turn it all the way from 30 minus 20. Yes, I know that's a plus 20. It's plus 20, but just treat it as 20 either way. So it'll go from minus 30 minus 20 to minus 30 plus 20. In other words, from minus 50 to minus 10. And there we go. There's P8 fully anti-clockwise, minus 50. And there's minus 10. Because you can take the view, well, we're going to be flying around at the off position. And when I'm ready to tune my gyro, I can put the knob in the middle, so it's having no effect. I can switch it on, and I'll immediately get minus 30. And then I can tune it from there. Or you might say, boo, that's still a bit too incautious. What I'll do is turn the knob all the way to the lowest position, switch it on, I get my minus 30, plus the 20, so I've only got minus 10 gain, and I can tune it from there. Yeah, because you might think to yourself that minus 10 is never going to be a problem. Okay, now what happens if the knob appears to be going the wrong way? Because we just accepted all the default values, and at the moment, with P8 fully clockwise, we've got minimum gain, and P8 anti-clockwise is the maximum gain, and I don't like that. I like anti-clockwise to be minimum and clockwise to be maximum, a bit like the volume control in a good old-fashioned TV. Do you remember when they had knobs on them? Anyway, we can easily solve that by going to P8 and reversing it. Say OK, and now P8's working the opposite direction. There we go. Maximum value when it's clockwise, minimum value when it's anti-clockwise. So there we have the very basics of getting gyro tuning. And you might think to yourself so far, well, it's an awful lot of fuss for something that I could do just by making my own function and channel and function curves and stuff. Yep, it is. However, we can do a lot more still with this, and we'll continue with that in the next episode.